What up, demons? It's your boy Tom Battinger back in the seat, and got Dolson right on next to me. Today we're going to take a look at two more matches as Space Station just toppled their opposition, Pittsburgh Knights, and now it's going to be Envy taking on the Renegades.
Yeah, I mean, set one was about as it came as soon as it went, pretty much, in that first one. Unstoppable Space Station, where this second set has the potential to be very similar.
Yeah.
I was kind of chatting with you about this. I think it's very dependent on which Envy shows up. They had a rough day yesterday, and which Renegades showed up. Is it last week Renegades, or is it the Renegades we saw this week?
That's the thing, is that on paper this is pretty mismatched. You've got Tulky and the rest of the boys as defending world champions, and you've got Renegades who have struggled to really find victories. Like you said, last week, NIP had trouble with Renegades, and Envy, honestly, hasn't really been standing on their own 2 feet. So today, we'll see who shows up and how it goes down.
Yeah, I agree. This is sort of a heat check game in my eyes for both teams. On one side, it's all right. Do Renegades fall back into their old ways like they did yesterday, or do they build off of what they brought last week? And Envy is the same thing. They beat NIP last week. Do they build off of that, or do they fall into what they had yesterday? So it's important, especially for Rock Monkey, I think, to have a really big day. Didn't have a bad day yesterday, but the pop-off Rock Monkey performance is really just ever so important.
Exactly. You really, basically, what we saw to FRZ God last game and yesterday, he's the guy. He's the dude that has to stand up and make it happen. Rock Monkey, we kind of want to see that on the Envy side for sure. These guys want to be able to pull out what they did last week and kind of see what's going on there. So with that in mind, it all comes down to the brain. And behind it all is Coach Meta Pusher, Gormizers on the mic.
Well, we're here with Meta, and I mean, yesterday was pretty solid, I would say, for you guys, at least as far as you could think overall, not what you wanted to see. What are you looking out for the Renegades today as far as this kind of match?
Renegades are a solid team. They've been improving a lot. They looked a little shaky yesterday. So I think we're in a good position. You know, SSG, it's a weird match for us. You know, they had a lot of momentum coming in. I don't like making excuses, though. They just played better than us, so.
And that was actually one of the things coming into that set. I had asked, you know, if having like the heat was going to be something that was big for SSG. Do you think that played more against you, or were there just some things going wrong inside this side of the booth?
I think they just came in really hot. I mean, we definitely started slow, and I don't know if that's us starting slow or them just starting really fast, but I think it played a big part.
Do you think having that, like, obviously that's probably one of the best sets to have for learning experiences, if not anything. How do you think that's going to help coming from yesterday into today against Renegades?
I think it'll help if Renegades tries to play the same way with the Tyra, Eevee, that sort of style. If they bring that out, we have a lot of experience with it from yesterday, so.
Well, there you go. Thanks for coming in. Good luck in your games, man. Let's get back to the desk.
Thanks a lot, boys. And here, talking to Meta Pusher is always one of my kind of favorite coaches to talk.
Agreed.
He's not, and I kind of want all the coaches, y'all watching, don't be afraid to kind of talk about the X's and O's.
Yeah.
It gives us more insight, and it's literally a soundproof booth. They can't hear you. But Meta Pusher giving us some insight, and I like the honesty. Sometimes it's just
honest.
straight up, they played better than us, and I think that's the most important thing when you're talking about being a successful team that's had some struggles. You've got to be willing to admit when you faltered. Perhaps more importantly, be able to identify and fix that.
And, you know, and that's actually a really good segue into the Renegades, because week after week, I feel like, honestly, with the exception of last week, with how well they played, I mean, we can only harp on that so much, but they're always a team that, you know, you see them on Twitter, you'll talk to them in the halls, and they'll say, yeah, I played horribly today, or I did really bad today. This is what I did wrong. And they're a team, they'll wear their emotions on their sleeve. They'll identify, hopefully, what went wrong, and they have done that. And that's why I look for them to either have built off of yesterday, built off of last week, and hopefully that's the route they go, because in reality, they have the makings of a good team if they're able to, like you said, identify what went wrong, talk about the X's and O's with one another. Moonchopper, Hero, a couple guys that really have good, bad, kind of neither here nor there games sometimes.
For sure, and watching these guys play yesterday and then getting a chance to talk to them as well, you know, after the game, I kind of casually sat down and was like, you know, what's up? And hey, the guys were still, for the most part, in as good a spirits as you can be after a loss, and I think that's really important.
They usually are.
Because you've seen, you see all these teams, and so if you just shut down, you can't turn back up. So I like the change of pace here for Renegades. I think they're a little bit more excited about that. this one.
I think so. I mean, this is a chance to. I mean, yesterday was as well, but this is really, again, to reiterate what I already said. I mean, this is a heat check game for them. I mean, especially against Envy. They were up top last week against NIP. This week is a big one for the Renegades.
We'll see how they do. But first, let's dig into the mind of the coach one more time. Powtech repping the Renegades.
Well, now we're standing here, and I kind of want to ask, the Renegades as a whole. Last week, we're looking really good. Yesterday, didn't quite, I think, hit the marks you were looking for. What went wrong yesterday, and what are you changing for today?
Little simple things. We're going to switch it up today. We know what went wrong. Going to change it up, make it better.
Envy actually kind of had a surprisingly short set, I think, yesterday, kind of going in the 4-1. And part of it is, if you ask them, maybe SSG came in really hot, or do you think Envy kind of showcased some weaknesses you can capitalize on?
Envy's been up and down. I mean, they're kind of like us in a very loose manner of saying, but they're kind of like us in that they sort of know what they want to do, but not really have their own style yet. So we're all just trying to figure it out at this point.
And the meta's been shifting a ton right now, and some of the more fringe maps, Timber Mill, Fish Market, have been appearing a little more often. Do you think these are maps that your team wants to gravitate towards, or is this something that you want to keep as far away as possible?
No, those maps are awful. We're taking those out immediately, and those are not going to get played.
Awesome. Well, good luck in your game, man. Hopefully you guys have a good one. Let's go back to the desk and get this set kicked off.
A little bit of insight as far as what maps we're going to be seeing, huh?
I love that guy. I mean, the same way that Meta Pusher is brutally honest, but will really long draw out his answers. Like you said, talk about the X's and O's. Powtech is just as honest, but it's more blunt. No, we're not playing those maps. I hate them. We're not going to see them. So I love talking to both of those guys. Definitely an all-star matchup of just coach interviews, I think, on the desk.
For sure. And right down there, you can see Powtech ain't lying. Timber Mill banned away. But Stonekeep, we're there. Envy, however, do ban away the real-life location of Frog Isle, so we won't see that one. Stonekeep, though, our starting map.
Yeah, and the thing I look for in this set is how comfortable. Well, okay, that's what I was going to talk about is the Eevee, because that's something a lot of teams have identified with Envy specifically up to this point is that, Random Noob he's comfortable. He can play the Bomb Kings. He can play the Drogoses. He can really play all the blasters, but when he's able to get comfortable on an Eevee, I mean, it's game-changing, similarly to Rock Monkey on a Cassie. So my question was, how are they going to identify that and maybe deal with it, and just banning it away is, in this case, how they're going to deal with it, though.
Con, first selection, no surprise there. Big guy, little head. Across the way, we're going to see Ash and Barrack. Standard kind of selections here for the second choice.
Another matchup of pros and cons in this one. Ash, Barrack, two teams that definitely have shown a priority for frontliners across the board. I mean, the meta in general, of course, dictates that, but you've seen some leeway. Of course, last game, Kinessa Eevee on Timber Mill specifically, maybe a bit of a one-off for Space Station, but these two teams, I don't expect, maybe with the exception of Genos, who's of course still on the board here. Envy haven't been as big into Genos, but Con, Ash, Barrack, if the bans are going to remain the way they are, I imagine those three are just going to be juggled around in the first three picks.
Cassie and Inara here locked in for RNG. And Cassie on this team, anything but. Real strong players can come out with Cassie. We'll see if Renegades can make it happen. And, the Drogo is probably
second Barrack.
Probably more realistic. Honestly, if you could have two Barracks.
You'd be happy. You would take that 10 times out of 10 for sure. And this is a good pick from Renegades to really hone in on the Cassie pick there, because similarly to how you're going to ban out Eevee against Random Noob, you're going to pick away because Invoco is great on the Cassie. Invoco is a very good Cassie player. I'm sure Shadow is a great Eevee player as well. But if you're able to get Invoco on something he's comfortable on and take away one of Rock Monkey's favorite champions, that's a good two-pronged pick here from them. So well drafted up to this point for the Renegades. Looks like they're going to answer back. A little of the Genos damage amp, though, with some of the Tyra hunting mark. So actually, I would say Renegades have crafted themselves, if these two end up getting locked in, a good draft so far.
Gotta really love it. I think Inara Khan is a nice front line. Inara, one of the more classic point tanks. I literally have stone form. Khan on the other side will grab you out and be a little bit more aggressive. And I like the choice of the Cassie specifically to deal with the Maeve, right? Maeve's going to be bouncing around. You can find those shots and cut her down.
And in a weird way, and I'm sure support players won't see this in a weird way, but one of my main kind of matchups to watch in this game is Viral and Mr. Hayes, because both of them have been playing so well up to this point. Mr. Hayes on the Geno specifically, hitting a lot of his times and spaces. I imagine one of the two teams will go Furia. Viral's had some good Maldamba stuns.
Give them hell!
I think this could be a matchup where supports are able to dictate a little bit more of what we see. This could be interesting, actually. I mean,
yeah, with the Furia?
The Furia. I mean, Genos and Furia, both, they're not going to do it to us. Okay, so that's good. But yes, I want to keep my eyes throughout this set just on the general play of Mr. Hayes and Viral on both sides.
Bomb King, if he's locked in here. An interesting draft. Maeve a little bit more kind of bouncy, Bomb King a little bit more cut and dry. What do you think Envy's approach to the game is with this draft in mind?
Well, on Stone Keep, actually, it's going to be very similar to what we saw last time around, honestly, from Space Station. Unfortunately, the Bomb King's going to be on the opposite side, but with Genos at your back, it's really going to be allowing Maeve the freedom to not only use the Midnight, but really getting onto this Cassie on the back line.
Don't
because
worry,
if
subjects.
Invokal's able to sit
After
back
a
and
few
free
good
fire
lashes, you'll
on
all
this
see
Cassie,
it my way.
you're going to have a bad time. Regardless of who you are, regardless of what team you play for, a free-firing Cassie is dangerous, so they're going to look. I imagine it's Rock Monkey in this case on the Maeve to get aggressive and open up the doors to playing onto the Cassie, and then again opening the doors with the Luminary Genos for Random Noob on the Bomb King. If he's able to free fire, I mean, those are the two, Cassie, Bomb King.
We'll see if the doors open. Renegades, Envy, starting this one off hot. We'll say hello to the casters. It's Nick and it's Gore.
Thank you, gentlemen, and Gore. As we load up in here, I noticed that Rubu and Rock have their hoods up today.
Yeah,
you know,
they're feeling
their purity though.
The
Team
way
purity.
it was worded.
Are they bad boys now?
By the cameraman when we were moving around, we walked into the Renegades booth and they were like, "You guys got to be careful. Rock's got his Darth Vader hoodie on.
Oh my
like
god!
He's feeling it.
Despite the bandana,
Darth Rock
coming in guns blazing. Yeah, Darth Monkey coming in, and his sidekick Rubu as well. Both the boys from that Purity PGS squad, they've gone rogue. They're no longer the good boys that we once knew. They came
Bad boys for life.
They came to put Renegades in the dirt today.
If there's any two that you could take and say that, it would be those two. To be like, they ride together, they die together. Bad boys for life.
They do. And they're going to be likely playing off each other a good bit today. Rubu on the Ashe, the off-tank, the aggro, the Space Maker. When you look at Rock Monkey, though, especially with Maeve, I don't really see him as much of a flank player anymore these days. He really, can still, and that's the good thing about Maeve, is that you can play her, I feel, from sort of the back line and just sit back and poke.
That is a really good amount of, it's really weird to say this, but just getting a dismount onto a con, making him feel uncomfortable, getting a couple of shots off at the very beginning, it's a really good way to start it here for NV. Well, the question is if they can keep it up. Well, Rock Monkey answers emphatically yes.
Oh, it's caught on the wall there, so Shadow gets a nice extra shot on him, if you will. Rock Monkey goes down 1 for 1. Rubu has to shoulder charge, but gets picked up. Commander's grab stops. That's a big cooldown, and all of his mobility now spent. But Rubu just barely gets around the corner. The disengage may have saved his life for a couple more seconds, but Invokal still gets the kill at the end of the day.
Well, these bombs are getting kind of thrown from far away, and we just saw last map what a Bomb King can do here. But unfortunately right now for Paul, he's kind of getting locked down. He doesn't really have a way in until he gets a King Bomb, and well, that's going to take another minute or so to charge up. He's just hitting 50%. And he's kind of locked down. I mean, getting pincered between Tyra shots and Cassie shots, you can't really fight out here.
Pulse has kind of been the way of things here for Cassie recently. Rubu charges in, trying to distract, push people off the objective, and he makes the space for Envy to take back some map control, but high ground still heavily in favor of the Renegades. Big splash damage going on up. Here comes the scout. First wave of ultimates is starting to come.
Unfortunately right there, that Grumpy Bomb didn't go where he wants, but he's going to get aggressive anyway. Random jumps up to the high ground. Doesn't follow for any kills right now. Just going to be back and forth. And Rock Monkey going to be the first to fall, but still point control in favor of Envy.
Luminary King needs to carry this, but the fear, it's good. Mr. Hayes saves Random Noob's life, at least for a little while, but the overtime looks like it will expire in favor of the Renegades. Nice stuff, and again, so much of this first round team fight comes down to who gets those ultimates up first and uses them.
Dread Serpent was probably a big game maker, just taking Bomb King out of the fight for a second. Whether or not you get the kill, that's damage that he's not doing. That is kills he's not finding. And so Renegades being able to get that one up and willingness to use it, throw it out almost immediately was big for them. But my question is really, if this is the return to form, if this is the Renegades we saw last week, are they going to get up 3-1 and then throw the lead? Are they going to lose outright like we saw yesterday? Or is this a team that can finally come together and find a win?
Well, we'll have to see. Only time will tell for the Renegades. So far, it's looked pretty good. Random gets taken down as well. And Vocal looks like he might be brewing to have one of those days. If Shadow can step up on this Cassie, that would be huge for them as well, showing that he can play something and be super successful and be a hyper carry to the level that Invocal has proven himself to be on something other than Eevee. That's what I really want to look for from Shadow today.
Well, Dome Shield as well as the regular Shield Barricade getting thrown up right there to try and buy some space. There's a minute and a half left, and this payload is now under the archway. This is where Envy need to buy some time if they can. The problem is whether or not they will be able to. They finally get a return kill on the Moonchopper, and they're starting to push people back out. But it's been kind of, I want to say, lackluster. Like, not a lot of kills. I keep hearing daggers fly by from the Maeve, but I'm not seeing a lot of damage connecting with her.
Yeah, I think at the moment, just struggling to grab map control. The high ground entirely in favor of the Renegades. Easy to shoot down with Cassie and Tyra specifically on this map. When you can get Tyra safely parked on the high ground, it feels so nice to just be that battle commander, placing marks on everyone. Mr. Hayes with a nice little double there through time and space, kills one outright and sets up that kill on a Moonchopper for Rock Monkey. Very easy for the boy at that point, and that is a perfect example. The cherry on top to a team fight, and sometimes it can be the showstopper before it even really begins. Mr. Hayes completely single-handedly wins that fight for Team Envy.
And it's those moments, the reason you've said, like, it's a very hit-or-miss ult. There's certain compositions that you have to have Genos hitting those, and then there's one like this where it's just like, if you hit it, it's just going to accelerate what we're trying to do. It's going to make us win faster. It's not going to make us not win if you miss it. It's just going to make things go a lot more in our favor.
It's part of why I say I don't really comment. If you miss every single one in a game, I don't really say, well, I said that's the way of the road.
Yeah.
Because if that is what I required every team fight for my Genos, there would be no game. He would just be deleting people left and right with the laser beam. Noob finds the first kill of this defensive fight. Team Envy fighting tooth and nail for this one. Plowing through the Inara. Luminary Bomb King ain't nothing to mess with. Team Envy will get that successful defense after cutting Inara quite literally in half.
And some good body blocks up top that were kind of keeping the Moonchopper locked away, keeping the Khan locked in the room so he couldn't get down to contest. Those are the small plays Envy will make regularly that will have a big impact, and they just have to bring that to the point. Like you said, last round, a lot of it was who got their ults first and was able to use it. Viral, playing out of his mind, has a much more, I want to say, impactful ult than what you're going to see out of Mr. Hayes, or much more regularly impactful. And it was that moment where he gets two people and just sets up not only Shadow for a kill, but pushes random Noob out of the fight.
It's a great little first round for Shadow, 5-1. He's got to be big on the Cassie. He needs to continue this trend. So far, he's shown us nothing but greatness. A lot of ultimates used in that last round. Viral's pretty close, Hero's pretty close, Shadow pretty close. Those will likely be up, but they're not at the onset, whereas you look at Team Envy, they have some powerful, powerful ultimates ready and available, and they're smoking them.
It's going to be Rubu immediately getting a stun, going for the kills. Midnight going to be popped as well. They're looking for the kill onto Viral, but so far no one's been able to lock him down. Random Noob getting one kill, getting two kills, and maybe looking for three, but there's no one left to fight.
There it is, 15% grab for the Renegades. It's not much, it's small potatoes. They still have Dome Shield. Team Envy still have this through time and space, but it's the Renegades now who have every resource available to them.
There's a through time and space available. He knows where they're all coming from. I'd love to see a like preemptive shot right there, but it's not going to be able to come through. Overpower misses. Dome Shield's available.
Do it! Do it, Hayes! Do it! Yeah! Tags in Vocal there, doesn't quite get the kill. You can see Tyra just a little bit tankier than the average damage dealer. She's getting pocketed back to full HP, and it's enough for the Renegades to win this fight. Still sitting on Crossfire, but 99% for Team Envy. Yes, they lose the fight, but so far they're winning the war.
And that's going to be the thing. They drop the Dome Shield. They get melted throughout all of that. That's the strength Tyra brings. And, I mean, Metapusher in his interview had even said that that was something they were prepared to play against. But as of right now, it still seems to be making a big difference for the Renegades. I'm looking towards Bomb King once again. King Bomb's about to come up. He's going to be a big player in this one in terms of damage. And I think he's going to be the one that can set this up for success or failure, depending on how it goes.
Well, Crossfire was popped. There's a duel going on in the back line, but Rock Monkey is going to take it. He reigns supreme. Inara Manages to disengage, staying alive, looking at the King Bomb now. Random Noob's got a great angle rolling back on Viral the Slither. Dismantles it, Void Grip up under Anar, a couple of sticks, and that's good. The point frontliner's dead. The off tank has to rotate in, but Bomb King, the perfect matchup to plow through. Khan overpowers back up. Moonchopper's gonna hit this one, but he's gonna lose his life for it. Random Noob won't die. Viral's on the objective, giving it everything he's got. He left everything out on the gridiron, but at the end of the day, Team Envy come out on top.
Can you think of anything better than right after Moonchopper's Play Like a Pro, where the first thing he says about countering Khan is Bomb King? You get to see the exact interaction he hates to be on the receiving end of. And that's the strengths that Bomb King's bringing to this matchup that, well, I mean, obviously he had all the other ones already, but being able to hit around that shield, being able to just pop slightly above Khan and still deal damage to him, makes it so much harder for Moonchopper to have the presence he would like to have on this. And because of that, you can zone him out, you can knock him down if he gets on the point. Like, Random Noob is just a battering ram waiting to be used.
Well, 150 on the clock left for this battering ram to get primed and ready. So far, he's got the Siege Shield in front of him as well. It's part of the reason that Ashe combination can be so... You saw Rubu, he just threw the shield and then he left away. He said, do your thing, man.
Yeah.
And Bomb King can kind of take the reins from that point. Be pretty effective. Team Envy are already knocking at the door. The clock strikes midnight. Laser Beam won't connect, but Rock Monkey is using the advantage and the restricted vision to dive. It's the perfect setup. Look at all that damage from Bomb King. He finds the triple kill from down below. Random Noob TV and Arubu are playing flawlessly together.
I mean, earlier we saw 5 people getting erased when SSG were able to do that to the Knights, but that was easily 1, maybe 2 bombs at once that just blew up 3 people. That is what I think, if you're a Bomb King player, like, that's your dream. Like, just watching people disappear like that is the best feeling.
There is every time I've seen an Ashe ultimate in that back corner of a spawn that gets 2 or 3 people, that is a 100% chance that payload is going through. That is the nail in the coffin, like, literally and figuratively, as she jumps up and slams that banister down on top of you, stunning multiple people. Rubu with the round-winning ultimate, I should say there. But a 30,000 damage lead for Random Noob's Bomb King. It's the Luminary King. It's still potent. You just have to know your way around it. And Random Noob certainly knows his way around the King.
And it's just so funny to see the dance that the meta is taking, because Bomb King for the last few weeks has been kind of disparaging. Like, no one wanted to play him, and when they did, he didn't really show up the way he is right now, where it's just kill after kill after kill, looking for Moonchopper, not quite able to find it, but both front lines are in a corner, and they're locked down.
Look at that Poppy Bomb, but he already got it off, stunned mid-flight, and it doesn't slow him down. Random Noob, 15 streak, 16 streak, Savage streak, meaning 9 of these 16 have been his killing blows. Oh my goodness, the light is leaving the eyes of the Renegades in game number 1, and Nara gets close to the objective. Random Noob is going to lose his life on this zone. There's a crossfire, there's a hope, but it's a small glimmer for the Renegades.
Well, it's going to be 78%. They do still have double comeback mechanic here for Renegades, so they will be able to capture this pretty much twice as fast as Envy, and that's why that 78% is going to be important. Envy can take a huge break, come back in around 90%, and still have a good chance to not only fight, but capture this point. But they got to do it carefully. Like, this is a very dangerous scenario to be in, just because Renegades are watching pretty much every avenue of entrance.
Well, that increased cap rate is starting to become a problem at 93% and climbing. No dome shield for Tolkien. He's doing his best. He's popping his cooldowns. He's getting his failsafe. One more dash. That's all he's got. Tolkien gave it everything he had. Where are the kills? Team Envy need to start fragging now. Mr. Hayes will find the first one. A lot of heals coming out from Viral. Keeps Invocal sustained, and he plows right through Rubu, right through Rock Monkey. The Purity Boys, hoods up, hoods down. Doesn't matter. Invocal's got it in their number.
It was partially going to be whether or not the front lines were able to survive, but also, I mean, you're looking at it, 97, 98, 99, 100. He just gets King Bomb. Like, Random Noob was trying so hard to stay alive, because I think he had the capabilities to turn that around. But the good news is, this is not the Renegades we saw yesterday. This is definitely feeling more like Renegades from last week. They're playing together, and they're recognizing, again, a lot of the skill they have, and they're putting it to use. A couple of slip-ups here and there, but they've definitely tightened things up.
It's a really solid draft from them as well. There might be something to this Tyra with the kind of lack of flankers that are around nowadays. Like, at the start of the season, right, you know, dealing with Xin was not easy for Tyra.
Not at all.
Dealing with Eevee, dealing with Maeve, it's a little bit easier because they're not quite as survivable, I think, as Xin was. They really have that lower HP pool. They've got some sustain in their kits, sure, but Tyra has more health, innate lifesteal, way more DPS, and hit scan. It's just the consistency of that hit scan rifle. Tyra's definitely finding some legs. Last week it was Genos, but this week has been all about Tyra for me.
And she's been doing incredibly well. And I'm kind of wondering, again, the meta will shake up week to week as the teams figure out this is strong, this is strong, this is strong. If maybe Xin needs to make a comeback sometime soon to be able to be that flank that can come in. As of right now, he doesn't have the survivability. Neither does the Renegades as they lose 4 in a row right there. They don't even have to use that many ults to get there. They use the assert dominance. Dome Shield was used a little earlier, but that was Tolkien more getting erased than anything. He was not able to survive long enough for that to be impactful, but it's coming down right now, I think, to Envy. Rock Monkey's 8, 9, and 8. If you have him get 2 kills in the next point fight and just 1 death, I guess, overall, go 2 and 1, I think you can call that a win for him, but as of right now, he's getting caught out a lot.
Yeah, some tough matchups for him indeed. You can see the way Cassie's been starting to be played. Impulse Cassie is very good against these lower HP flankers. So much burst damage, so consistent. Last 20 seconds on the clock, though. The Renegades, 3 ultimates. Envy with 3 ultimates. 2-3 on the scoreboard in favor of Envy, but the Renegades could tie this up if they can just get this payload through.
Shadow's going around the side. This is probably the biggest player right now for the Renegades. He has 2 shots, gonna go for the reload. Now he can re-engage and almost immediately gets erased. A bomb and a couple of daggers fly his way, and that's gonna start this out as a 4v5.
And that'll probably do it too. You really, you're not excited about taking a 4v5, throwing yourself onto an objective like that after getting picked off. Nobody has to use anything. All the resources that were available are still, and everybody will take them into the next round. Envy with the chance to close out here. No fast cap, just a half cap.
Yesterday was probably like the most awkward day for Envy. That was a really good Dread Serpent. Still gets the ult off though, so it's gonna be really good for Rubu. But yesterday was an off day. Like it was very bizarre, I think, to everybody watching that. I mean, even probably SSG thinking there's no way that it should be a 4-1. Like, that's pretty fast. That's what you want if you're going to be the winning team. But I think everyone expected a little more out of Envy. And I honestly could say a little bit's carrying into this right now. I think Renegades are playing well. They have a really good draft. But I'm also not quite feeling the same, you know, like the Rock Monkey effect that we've seen in the past, where he's going to be zoned in and getting crazy kills.
I agree. It has been a little bit lackluster. I attributed it mostly to matchups. I think he's got some tough ones to deal with as the Maeve in this instance. Maeve is not his first pick either, so not only is he playing a character he doesn't normally really good after, super quick in the draft, he's playing against tough matchups as well. Not where I'm placing the weight, but still looking good. Overpower connects the first time. Rock's going to die, and I guess that's okay. I mean... You're right. He's probably not too worried about that one. Moonchopper just happy to hit an overpower on Stone Keep.
That's actually, I think, the biggest thing is that's one of those moments where if you do die, you got a really big ult that came out of it for you. Dread Serpent going to be available again, and Viral going to be going for it, and that's going to cause some trouble, but a nice assert dominance. No, doesn't land. Could have gotten a couple kills if he came down, so that was really big kill for Renegades.
My goodness gracious, Paul. From the top rope on Monday Night Raw. He is just plowing people from the balcony here on Stone Keep. This is disgusting. They can't fight around these corners. The Luminary Bomb King with Royal Subjects is just destroying them around the pillars, line of sight. He does not abide by the laws of man here, and he is absolutely the reason for the season and the excitement. Nice assassination here in the backline. Rock Monkey finding a way to stay effective despite being the target of the overpower and having kind of a rough game. But again, at the end of the day, it's all about Paulie P here on the Bomb King. He shuts it down in game number 1.
Keeps himself at a 13 streak. Should get overtime right there, but Shadow gone about as fast as you saw him come onto the screen. Going to disappear, and Envy get to keep themselves in control and in the lead for right now.
Yeah, buddy. That's how you step up as a team, though. Again, you know, we were talking a little bit about Rock Monkey, and I think that happens, right? You have those moments where you're getting focused in the draft. You're getting kind of picked, banned out. They're picking good matchups against what you managed to scrape by with. It's time for, I mean, Luminary King with a nice little aggro front line in front of you. That is Random Noob's game to win, and he absolutely stepped up to the plate. Everybody else on Envy playing very well, performing their roles, hitting those nice lasers, all that type of great stuff. Let's get it back to the desk and hear what they thought.
Thanks a lot, boys. Good job in the cast and good job in the game. A nice back and forth here between Envy and the Renegades. And Envy come out on top like I predicted, and the game pretty close like you had predicted.
Yeah, I mean, Renegades came out swinging, find the first point onto the board. And what I had sort of mentioned going into it is the random noob, and it ended up being Shadow on the Cassie with Invocal going onto the Tyra after that. If there were a blaster in this case, Shadow would be on that character. But that's neither here nor there. But really the thing I was looking at was, all right, between Bomb King and Cassie, who's able to have the most freedom to play, and the damage numbers alone show you that it was random noob in this case. His Eevee is so comfortable to him, but he truly does have the flexibility in a situation like this where he can go 15, 4, and 19 on a Bomb King if he needs to. And look at, I mean, the rest of his team, 4 and 7. I mean, 4, 2, 30 for Mr. Hayes. I said he was going to have a good day. He did just that. 10 and 7. I mean, the rest of the slash lines aren't blowing me out of the water from Team Envy. Random Noob and Mr. Hayes, that 1-2 punch this game really carried things through for them.
Absolutely. Random Noob was able to really make it happen, but this is one of those matches that I'm looking at the other side. Yeah, you can see just how Random Noob doesn't just take players down, he takes encounters down. And
the
that's
entire
the big
team.
deal.
He deleted the blue team out of the game. You don't get to play. You go back to base and sit there. Think about what you've done, and what they did was show their face just too long to this Bomb King. 168,000 damage. They controlled this one, honestly, from start to finish. The King Bombs were good, and honestly, I mean, back to the drawing board a little bit for the Renegades. It wasn't a 4-0 on this map, so, I mean, they showed some fight. They captured some points. Not only did they have a defensive stand, but they won a mid-fight and got a payload moving. So, like, that's not something that you maybe would often see out of Renegades. They took the fight to Envy here and there, just building off of those moments.
What I saw to Renegades here, which is Envy just sort of played a straight game.
Yep.
And I think it's deceptive when you watch it, because I think when you see Envy kind of play last match, you see them kind of go up and down and up and down.
True.
I think that is false. I think they played straight, and Renegades were the ones that came up and down. And really, it almost looked like an inexperienced boxer tiring themselves out. They came out with this big haymaker, and they're able to kind of contest, and then they're tired, and Envy just take 2 points. And then they come back and they win a mid-fight, and they contest, and then they're tired, and Envy are just able to kind of take it over and get the 4 points. So Renegades have to find some consistency, because they identify those moments, but they don't bring it the whole time.
Actually, it's funny. That's honestly a perfect way of describing it, because Envy have very much been that team. Of course, they've had sort of some good and bad weeks, but
for sure,
you talk about like hyper-aggressive teams. You talk about like hyper-controlling teams. Envy, they kind of float around in the middle, and I mean this with the most respect, but they're just kind of a vanilla team. They play Paladins. They have some controlling moments. They have some aggressive moments. They just adapt to the game as it comes to them. And they don't let really anything break them down, whereas, as you said, Renegades, they'll have moments where they just go hyper-aggressive. They explode through the enemy team, and they'll win some of those points. It's just gassing themselves out, essentially, blowing everything on one team fight, and then not having the legs to carry through.
Which is why I love this adaptation that Envy has made. So normally we see the con left open and con first selected. Ash shows in here, and I'll tell you why I love it. Identifying how Renegades kind of come through like one-shot chill, one-shot chill. That Ash indestructible ultimate, you just can't kill her. When Renegades do all in the point or all in the team fight, Ash is one of the best characters at kind of deterring that. Inara as well. And so Envy, they've really drafted this really, really well. They give Eevee over to the other side, saying, we know that you're going to look for these giant shots. Envy are just looking for the other side, saying, we'll mitigate whatever you bring.
And Eevee likely going over to Shadow in this case, but now you really look at the Renegades. All right, what's left for our frontliners? We have Barrack, who kind of plays that hybrid off-tank sort of role. I mean, he chills on the point, but he can also get aggressive. He does a lot of damage, especially if you get a Luminary boost behind him and a Hunting Party. That Barrack will do a sneaky amount of damage to you. But then you have to round out your lineup with one more tank, if that's the direction they go. Granted, with double damage amp, things could get interesting on Bright Mars. I mean, they could go triple DPS. That's entirely possible with what they've built 1 through 4 here. And with what's left, I mean, you look at it, Fernando, Fernando. It's kind of. I mean, what's left? Very
Ruckus.
possible I'm forgetting something, but yeah, Ruckus. True. Ruckus actually wouldn't be a bad pick in this case. Terminus. No. I mean, yes, Terminus.
Ruckus
is
the
around.
choice.
Ruckus wouldn't be a bad move here either, I don't think. Fernando's kind of a good tried and true. I will stand on the point for you.
You got Barrett.
But this is interesting from Renegades that they've left something up to the imagination going into 5th pick. Drogos, Damba, and again, with the utmost respect, Envy have drafted themselves a vanilla, comfortable lineup, and that works for them. Every time that'll work for them.
Picture sort of I don't know if you guys are familiar with hex graphs, but the idea that there's, Envy are just this big circle. They're good at kind of everything, great at nothing. It literally won them a world championship. So good enough for me, homie. These other teams are more specialized teams, right? We look at Sadak and the guys on SSG, and they specialize in the aggro tank and the freeze god, whatever the hell he wants to do. It literally is his game, right? Envy are just like the whole squad will do everything pretty damn well, and that should be enough to cover all of the bases.
And that's how it's worked out up to this point. Rock Monkey gets his Cassie back. Excited always to see that. And Random Noob on his Drogos. You were casting Random Noob's game yesterday on Drogos on Brightmarsh, and he took it over in that case. So I would expect more of the same from Envy in this case. Granted, on the opposite side, Renegades, they're going to look to blow up Envy. You have double damage amp, you have Eevee. We see how fast Tyra on her own can melt somebody. That's what they look to do.
Envy with a much better draft. I think this is going to be a lot quicker. Casters, take us away.
Thank you, gentlemen. And Gora, I have to be honest. I feel like this was a 3 DPS or no balls moment for the Renegades, and I feel like we got the ladder here.
It's definitely that, like, you could come through. I actually wouldn't, like, as much as she's not in the meta, I wouldn't have minded seeing, like, a Leon come through just to be like, cool, here's someone who's just going to consistently, with a Luminary boost and a Mark, destroy Drogos, especially after the way he looked yesterday. Like, Random Noob these last 2 days has been playing well.
Even like a Pip,
March
dude.
was really good.
I don't
for
know,
him.
something. It's like,
Something
I look
that's
at this
not
comp from
Fernando.
Envy. Who do Envy lose to with this comp? I feel like they could beat anyone in the league on Brightmarsh with this composition. This is scary from Envy. I think this might be a 4-0.
I mean, if anything about what they did yesterday.
How do you improve? Can you
has to
improve this
say-
comp? I guess maybe you could give Rubu like Khan. But
Yeah, you could like Connor Atlas. I think you would probably throw in there, but like that's the only change you can make. But I mean, Rubu on Ashe is just as deadly as Rubu on pretty much anything. Actually, I wouldn't even mind if you did trade that out for a Ruckus.
I know. I think for what was left, this is a damn near 100% optimal comp for Team Envy. This is gonna be a tough one for the Renegades. Already kind of seeing that both their frontliners isolated by the Inara wall and slain. Nice juking around the shield here, regardless for Hero, making sure he stays alive, not letting Drogos get the better of him too early. But they have such a good comp just to blast through this Fernando shield, blast through this Barrack shield. This is going to be a tough one for Chopper and Hero.
I mean, so far it's 96% to nothing on the other side as Envy are just completely in control. And there's a couple of good shots here. Moonchopper's getting aggressive. He's going to be able to get some burn damage down, but Rock is on the side, and Rock is zoned in.
Rock is, I think, rearing to get after it. After the game that he had in game number 1. I mean, Tolki's just living, dude. He is just staying alive, staying alive. This ain't no Bee Gees song. But this is about to be an envious payload. My goodness gracious. I don't even think anyone died. Is there a single kill?
I want to look at the slash lines if possible, just because I think, yeah, not a single death. And Tolki with the 3 kills that he was able to pick up. He was in the middle of the fray, so it makes sense that he could see the most. But I mean, out of all of that, like, this is kind of what I expect, especially, again, after yesterday's Brightmarsh game for them. It was a 4-3, but you cannot convince me that there was a single point where SSG were actually in control. It was almost all Envy the entire time.
Changed my mind. Gormad's just sitting at his little table in the quad. Tough stuff here. 003 could be the first death he will. Shadow, he's really got the comfort pick here for the Renegades. Needs to be the guy that carries this one, but Rock Monkey has his number so far. And a good matchup to boot. I think the same thing that Shadow did to Rock in game number 1 with this Cassie, Rock is gonna be more than happy to do it to Shadow here in game 2 on Brightmarsh.
And so far, he's been doing exactly that. In most of these instances, I've seen a lot of shots go Shadow's way, and admittedly, when you're Eevee, like, it's really awkward to want to engage on something when you are at half health. Even though you know you're going to be getting healing as a Dread Servant comes through, there's going to be a good Immortal, and Renegades are trying to push this forward. They drop literally every ult they had in the arsenal, and they still drop the kill.
39 HP. This is what comes back to haunt you. Hero finds them toes, Borg. Give me them toes! Random noob dies after the Dragon Punch. He got a little bit greedy there, mistimed, ran into the Immortal. It was the right idea, but the wrong execution. Does this one still come out the way of Team Envy? Tune in later to find out.
Well, as of right now, it is going all their way. This payload's going up the hill. There's going to be a couple of shots from here. They should be able to get one more hold on the side of the Renegades with the respawns, but you need everything to go right. And I love how Random Noob plays this. He doesn't bother looking, something similar we've seen with Eevee, but he just keeps blasting rockets like blink back. Whenever you blink back, one of these is going to hit you, and you have to deal with it.
Eevee players know Eevee's games, so he's more than happy just to kind of pound that wormhole spot until Eevee reappears and takes that rocket to the face. One more shot on a Tulky would do it. A lot of healings coming through, and Team Envy, when Shadow's not really looking, will push it through. Granted, that's not his job. I think he was where he needed to be and doing what he needed to do. It's the rest of the team that fell apart.
And that's actually the biggest thing. What was that?
Tulky
Three members of Envy that were over there. Like, Tulky was fighting the Eevee. So was Rock Monkey. Like, they're over there fighting Eevee. What's the rest of the team doing when you have a 3v4? Like, you're over there in a winnable fight. Shadow's the only one not really present. And I think that's the big thing, is that Renegades weren't able to take control of a fight they should have. And I think that's one of the things. They have a comfortable draft. They have a lot of like damage amp for an Eevee to make her look really good. I would have loved something other than an 0-5 Fernando to be filling that spot, a triple DPS. Whether or not it's different is at least
Chopper's the
something
guy to do it too.
More progressive.
He is the guy. He could flex onto that DPS, I think, rather easily. That's the role he played before he started playing off tank. This felt like the time for it. I don't know. Spilt milk and all that. I do think the Renegades have a good counter engage composition though. With this Immortal, keeping this Crossfire alive and healthy, having an Ice Storm to lock people down. There's definitely some potential there, but we just have to see it tapped into almost perfectly.
Well, now they're in a fun position. I want to say for the Renegades to potentially come in. Like, they could dash in, maybe make some big plays. They have the Ice Storm. A through time and space connecting onto one or two members would be beautiful. But they've got to do something fast because they're already at 70% here for Envy. Yeah, you have a double comeback mechanic in your favor to be able to help capture things faster, but no one's there to capitalize on it.
Give him hell, Invocal. Right back to spawn. He gets punched in the back of the head. That's illegal in boxing, but not here in the realm. Anything goes. Random Noob gets it done. Rubu slowly but surely knows he's got Viral wrapped up, and Rubu's not been afraid to throw a little spray, a little emo, a little something for the camera every once in a while when he gets a nice kill. 3-0 for Team Envy. You know, I don't want to call it before it's over, but I kind of already did as soon as we loaded in the game. I don't know anyone in the league right now with how Envy are playing that could beat them on Bright Marsh with this composition.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to look at it. Honestly, getting that kind of leg up, like against most teams, 2-0 can be shaky. It can be a solid lead, or it can amount to kind of nothing. We've seen a lot of teams come back from a 2-0 deficit, but we haven't seen Renegades do that, and that's kind of the thing that stands out for me about this as well. It's not just Envy looking so dominant on a map that they've been dominant on before. It's the implications this has and what it brings right after the game.
There it is, 140 on the clock, and some life from the Renegades. Good shots from Invocal from down below. Low on HP, but he doesn't lose focus. Finds yet another one and just fighting. Doesn't matter what his HP pool is at as long as he's got life in his veins. The boy's going to find some frags here. Now, he looks frustrated. I mean, he is pushing out. He is the furthest extended member of the Renegades right now. He pushed into that one knowing damn well he was going to die, but he just wanted blood.
Now, it's always weird when you are able to switch to the Inara and the Inara is just fragging out. Like, she's over here getting all of the kills that you would need, all the damage you would want. Like, this is exactly what Tulky brings. And it's, I mean, I equate it right now. Like, this aggressive style is more similar to what I expect out of, like, Ovim in the minor league, more than what I expect out of Tulky.
Yeah, Tulky has definitely done a really good job staying involved in these fights on Bright Marsh. Bright Marsh is one of Inara's, if not Inara's, best map. Being able to exhibit the amount of control that Tulky has shown us and kind of put on display with Inara is very, very potent in these team fights. Big healing numbers as well. You got to shout him out when you can. Mr. Hayes is keeping everyone very healthy and allowing Tulky to do what he does.
A couple of good shots here, a couple of good kills there, and admittedly this payload's already looking like it's about to run in. A nice little slither gets you out of it through time and space, and Genos is the only one left alive.
We calls them like we sees them here. Team Envy with an infallible
He still
draft
looks bored.
on Bright Munch there. That one's you're dusting the hands off.
Yeah.
Kind of almost expecting that one, I think. Renegades certainly getting bested, I think, before they even got into game, and this is already going to be too difficult of a matchup to let those types of draft go to Team Envy.
I hate to highlight it there at the end, but Moonchopper's face, I think, has honestly been more telling of the Renegades' mindset than anything, because I feel like the rest of them might start talking, but like Moonchopper plays such a pivotal role in the team that when he's feeling down, you can almost feel the entirety of the team get dragged down with it.
That's one thing I think resonates is that they need somebody to pick them up for sure. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be Powtech or Hero or whatever. They're all trying to step up and bring that energy, but that does it for game here on Bright Marsh. Let's get it back to the desk and hear what they had to say.
2 down, maybe 2 to go. We'll see who stands up and who lays down right now. It's really confident in the Envy.
I hate it because I love casting Renegades games.
Sure.
I love it. Because they have these moments of brilliance, and I get hype. Last week I casted both of the games where they nearly won, and you probably could hear it in my voice how excited and so close they were getting time after time. But I think the way yesterday went, today might just be too quick of a turnaround. I think I don't know. I can only say they need time off to regroup so often. They absolutely have a chance in this set, but if they lose this next one to Envy, the reverse sweep doesn't happen. We've seen it. We've seen 3 games, but we've never seen 4.
I'll be straight up. I think this was just very rarely our games, and Paladins probably more so than other games with picks and bans, very rarely is the game won on the draft selection screen, and I think this is one of those times that makes me say very rarely instead of never. Frankly, I think that Renegades locked in Fernando and went, we lose.
Yep. I mean, all 4 bans are frontliners. Yep. And they are able to get the Barak, which is good. A beautiful pick, which is ever so important. I'm overhyping the Barak now.
Cooper Cam.
Does he know? He doesn't know. He was BMing me on Twitter last night.
That is the commissioner of the league.
That is the commissioner of the league. Put some respect on Cooper's name. No, but you're very.
There he is, Cooper Cam.
Yeah, he thinks we're on Ruby. Oh, there it is. There it is. There's the wave. Hey, Coop. How's it going down there?
On a serious note, shout out to Cooper. He's the commissioner. He's the guy that gets to email when you email esports at Pout, right?
Yeah.
He does all the high level stuff and also just another admin in the booth with the teams.
Yep.
He's
down in the trenches.
I like
down
it.
in the trenches. I do dig it. I want to go back to your point though on how that was won and lost in drafts, and I think it was because there's kind of a two pivot way I want to look at it.
Sure.
Where we're pivoting up here on the desk. Pivot 1 is Barak goes first.
Right.
4 bans down here are your tanks. Mm-hmm. And then they follow it with an Eevee, which it's good, taking it for Shadow, getting it away from random noob. But then Envy are smart enough to say, okay, well, now we realize you've put yourself in a spot where we can take away the last 2 viable tanks. And then still get Cassie, which is Rock Monkey's arguably best champion. And then get so it's like what Renegades were doing to try to make Envy uncomfortable did literally the exact opposite and made them even more comfortable. So it's like it wasn't necessarily a bad draft from the Renegades, but Envy is such a comfort team, and that they found comfort so early on, and in turn also made Renegades uncomfortable. If they ban out Atlas again here, they would have to change some stuff up because they're again going to have first pick, and Envy are again going to have 2 choices on the back end.
Well, this will be different because before Renegades didn't have control like this. Now Renegades opting for the first selection.
True.
And so they're kind of copying Envy's classwork here. They're like, oh, you beat us by banning
across the aisle. Right?
Yeah, you beat us by banning Torvald and Khan. We banned Torvald and Khan.
I mean, it's like the Torvald Makoa. That's standard across the board. Every once in a while, Makoa will come through. Pip?
That's a throwaway ban.
Interestingly enough.
So Envy are banning Pip. I call it a throwaway ban, and that's to prevent Envy from winding up in the situation that RNG was in last time.
Yeah.
Envy see what's going on. They first pick Ashe, and I wouldn't be surprised to see another tank selected here Tyra, not so much, but
can get us
Envy
out of
have
your mind.
avoided the situation
Stay
that
close
Renegades
and
were in by
follow my
banning out the
lead.
Pip. They go, maybe you want to play Pip,
Give them
maybe
hell.
you don't,
That's
but
fair.
we won't tank lock ourselves. Envy one step ahead of what Renegades want to do.
And I think Pip is specifically on this map. I mean, it's definitely hinging kind of
Ice
back and
Mines?
forth between the two. Ice Mines, Pip can make a huge difference on this one. They're gonna maybe, and looks like they're gonna elect to go the Inara, and they're in a little bit more of a comfortable spot NVR.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you banned, I mean, we're going like deep into hypotheticals here, but if there was one more tank up there, they wouldn't still have the option to go Barrack now,
Exactly.
which they do.
Yep.
And they would have been forced to go Fernando. So that's smartly banned out there by Envy to avoid getting into the same situation Renegades were last time around.
Very intentional.
On the board here, Bomb King, great pick here on Ice Mines. You fight in these small corridors right near that point, depending on where the fight takes place. Bomb King can have a huge impact on the fight. I like them putting Shadow on this one. I imagine this will be the Barrack locked in here. And then Envy, I was going to bring up Drogos as well. Combustible Drogos here, honestly, for much of the same reasons that Bomb King is strong, these close, small, grouped-up corridors. A good Flame Spit that burns 3-4 members of a team. Remember, Combustible gives you a little extra burn on the Flame Spit. That's huge here. Random Noob has shown that he can play it. I think Envy put themselves in another good spot, and then
Love it.
leave a little flexibility open, honestly, with their final pick. They've shown maybe not as much fanfare around the Genos, but they're going to let RNG show their entire hand before they lock in the last pick.
Meta Pusher earning his paycheck here. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is very well crafted, from the first throwaway ban to the selection of Barrack in the third position, the Drogos to capitalize on the enclosed the CQC nature of this map. Really, really, really smart stuff coming out from Envy and their coach right there. Renegades looking to respond. You heard the conversation earlier. Not a lot of hit scan DPS, so Vivian being looked at, even though she's got some issues. Talk to me. Why don't we like Vivian so much?
It's not so much that we don't like Vivian.
We like other characters more,
right?
but
I think it's the utility that someone like a Tyra brings. Why we like. If we're looking specifically at the hit scan category, the hunting party is so impactful.
Okay.
Just a 30. I think it's 35. It's escaping me, but a flat percentage increase on damage going into that source. Maybe it's 25%. And then it's just the utility that she brings. The crossfire as well can melt people away. Vivian, it's not that we don't like her. It's just she doesn't necessarily bring the same cards as other hit scans do.
Dave,
What's up?
don't break up with your girlfriend like that. It's not that I don't like you. It's just I like her more.
I
just like Tyra more.
I like the blonde girl on the opposite side just a little bit more. She brings so much more to the table.
Come on,
she has
Dave.
extra utility.
You got to get the cards if you want to keep going.
I think Vivian has her merits. I mean, in a map like Ice Mines, if
Just outshine.
you're gonna allow, I'm assuming this is gonna be Invocal. If you allow Invocal to sit up on those high balconies and free fire 70-round clips into Envy, you're gonna have a bad time. But Tyra definitely brings the utility, stacking that with Drogos damage. Another well-crafted draft here from Envy. Grover is kind of where this hinges for me.
Sure.
Because you're at that point saying, we want to fight in a group as a team around this Grover healing, which is exactly what Drogos wants you to do.
Exactly.
Because if you're fighting all around Grover in a big healing ring and a big combustible shot hits you, that's when you melt away. So I think Renegades have brought a good draft, but I think Envy just another half step ahead here.
I got to agree, man. I think it's not as egregious as game number 2.
Yeah,
Envy,
agreed.
hand over fist, won that game in the draft. This time around, maybe a little bit different. Draft still slanted in one direction. Will the game be the same? We'll see how insane it is.
Thank you, gentlemen. As we load into Ice Mines here, I love the switches in the draft. I feel like this is a much more viable composition for the Renegades, to the point where I think they've taken the lead in this draft and really making sure that they, lean in some areas like the Vivian that they haven't made work personally, but I think with the way SSG have performed with them, have more than proved its viability.
And it's something I think I said yesterday, specifically SSG locked it in, and I said the only person in my mind who can out-Tyra Tyra, not in the Hunter's Mark, but just in general of being able to apply a lot of damage, melt through tanks, the only person who can do it better than Tyra is going to be Vivian. Like, they play kind of the same role, but again, you're going to be missing the Hunter's Mark, and Envy applying that with the Drogos might be deadly, might end up falling flat because Vivian can just trace the Drogos out of the air.
It's a double shielding frontline composition for Envy, and Vivian is going to be able to rip right through that very effectively. Hero taking a lot of poke early on. Doesn't have that high throughput long-range healer like a Damba or a Saris. Has to play around this Grover. Had to use the wall defensively just to make herself safe. I think Viral might need to reposition here to give his front line a little bit more health. That's a nice wall to split the map in favor of the Renegades.
Yeah, and Invocal actually showcasing exactly why Vivian's really good. She's not going to do anything impressive and
Nice
anything
stun.
shiny. She's just going to sit up there and left click and burn you down in the process. But it's Rock Monkey right now who's the one finding the kill.
Look at little Mr. Hayes. That first kill, that was Hayes. He stuns him out. Rock Monkey just drives it home. Second kill, you can give credit to Rock, but the support player for Team Envy has been phenomenal today, specifically on the Stone Keep, and looking good so far here on Ice Mines as well. You look at the Bright Marsh healing stats. That's one of the wider margins we have seen. I think Cuscuti yesterday was like 128K he was ahead by. Like there's some healing margins that we're hitting in these last couple of days of the PPL, and Mr. Hayes has absolutely thrown his name into that conversation.
And that's one of the matches Dave highlighted earlier on the desk, where he's just like, it seems almost weird to highlight it because you don't think of the supports change of the game, but Viral's performance versus Mr. Hayes' performance is absolutely kind of the backbone right now for Envy. The healing coming down and the stuns being provided are all just changing the pace and keeping Envy ahead.
Well, that's going to go ahead and grab the first payload for Envy. A couple of ultimates left in the tank. Looks like the Dragon Punch was used. Somebody just went back. I think yeah. Oh, Envy's jumping off the map right now to go back home and buy items. I just saw, I was looking, I was like trying to see what Barrick's ult charge was, and then he just died. And I looked in the kill feed. I was like, wait, what's up? And then Ruben died too. I was like, what's going on? Oh, okay. I see what's happening here.
They need those COT2s.
Yeah, and I mean, they're already at the mark there. Rock and Random don't do that, which I find to be a little bit interesting. But, you know, with no need to buy Wrecker against Zanara and Atlas, look at this, 4 COTs. Like, that is going to be a problem for an already most likely strained Grover healer.
Yeah, especially considering the one thing about Grover, not only is Blossom going to start healing just in general less, but you have to look at Whirlwind. Whirlwind is one of those like healing abilities that is really, really good in round 1. It's pretty cool in round 2. And then as round 3, round 4 come on, it's almost useless.
What's happening here? Is this the turnaround from Rubu? They were trying to stagger him, but he makes it a 2-for-1 in favor of Envy. This is very reminiscent of the minor league. Remember Watkins turning it around 1v5 on Grok? The Renegades can't even stagger Envy right today. Everything is coming up black and blue.
And that is that moment, right? When you're able to be like, you know
what?
That's
awkward.
This isn't a stagger on me anymore. This is a re-engage. Like, I've been here long enough that I'm going to set my team up. Even if Rubu dies there, which he does, it just sets his team to come in, take the payload, and get kills afterward.
Nobody staggers right, Rubu Wong. I'll show them. I'll show them all. And then he just ults him, turns it around. I mean, what a fun play to watch from Team Envy. This fight is going all the way to the Renegades. However, 2-for-0 disengage called from Team Envy. Rubu kind of runs up that flank that he was toying around with, backpedaling out as Random Noob as well. Overall, ultimate economy seems to still be in favor of the Renegades.
You know, this is actually, to pull it back even further, I mean, Renegades right now, not only their map pick, but this is the one that for weeks at a time was the map for the Renegades. They would choose this every single chance they got. Teams started banning it against them because it was just the one they wanted to go to every single week, and they played it really well. Envy, if I remember correctly, the last time these two played each other, just straight up first picked Ice Mines and said, let's go there and let's get it out of the way. And they were able to win that one. But with Renegades like kind of resurgence these last couple of weeks, I feel like this one's going to be a little closer to closer to the chest, a little closer to call. And as of right now, point fights pretty heavily in favor of Envy. But defenses are going to be a dime a dozen here.
And I almost brought up the argument of staggering for too long, especially against a character that can hit, cleave like Ashe. That does give her a lot of ultimate charge when she's just kind of poking away at you. Rubu already had his ultimate, as you guys can clearly see. He used that to turn that one around. 2 to 3 is his slash line, but not quite fully charged is the assert dominance. Only 61%, 50 on the crossfire. They're about there on the Damba ult as well as Drogo's Dragon Punch. But right now, I think the Renegades, if they come out swinging with their ultimates, I don't think there's much Envy can do to stop them.
I think it kind of depends on what King Bomb can hit and whether or not the Sentinels can melt through things. Like, they're going to destroy shields every step of the way, but how long does this Vivian get to fire with them until they get destroyed, I think is going to be the biggest question.
Moon Chopper, this is going to be a critical temporal divide. Where does he place it? How does he place it? I like it, but already knocked off the map. Random Noob gets Shadow with a combustible knockback. Dragon punches Hero off of the objective.
Wow.
And now it's just easy pick. It's another fire spit, but the fight is already over. I mean, Renegades just absolutely obliterated there, only using the Sentinels. None of their advantages were pressed.
I feel like, you know how in commercials for trucks it's always like 0 to 60 in 6 seconds or whatever? That was like 0 to 100 for Envy in 2 seconds. They just went from, man, we might not win this fight to we've killed everybody on the Renegades and you might have literally just blinked and missed it.
Are you referencing 2019 Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, the Dodge Ram Gormizer? Here on the broadcast? I mean, hell yeah, brother. If there was ever a time to talk about it, I think it's a really nice comparison here to just say Team Envy are definitely playing like as if they were driving a beautiful, brand new first edition 2019 Motor Trend Truck of the Year Dodge Ram. Hashtag no ad. What a copy pasta. There's nothing like a good copy pasta. There really is.
Especially when it gets vocalized. Like, seeing it spammed in chats is one thing, but when you hear someone and, like, you can recite the full thing.
Trying to do it.
It's so perfect.
Trying to do it in the Dodge Ram. I want to meet the Dodge Ram voice guy. You know what I mean? It's like if you took Barry White, the guy that plays Kratos in the new God of War game, and just mix them in with like a bass guitar.
And mix them in with a bass guitar.
And put a cowboy hat on it. Like, that's the guy. I wonder if you could look that up. Somebody in chat, let me know who the guy is that's in the Dodge Ram 2019 Motor Trend Truck of the Year Dodge Ram truck voice when they're building log cabins and stuff like that.
Well, while we're trying to figure that one out, Envy's figured out the Renegades, and they've got their number 2 a T. It's going to be 4 clean kills. I think Bomb King's just running away at this point, although taking a lot of damage in the process. And this is where things get awkward on Ice Mines. Like, if you're pushed back into your base, your defense gets a little more slippy.
That Atlas skin is so cool. Slippy, the Star Fox character. I understood that reference.
Use the boost to get through.
Oh, I love you, Gore. It's good content here. 50 seconds on the clock. Crossfire, gas pedals, hit. What'll it find? Rock Monkey has to kind of back off. Noob's in a rough spot as well, and Vocal. Everyone's low, but they managed to give him the slip, staying alive, bouncing back in a lot of ways. 2 for 1 so far. Shadow's got to find a kill here.
I think I've seen Random Noob survive with sub 100 health more times this set than anything else. Either way, there's going to be a lot of damage. That King Bomb pretty much runs directly into the wall. A couple of kills come up one way, 1 kill comes up on the side for the Renegades, but there goes Hero. There's the burn down, and even with 15 seconds left, that's plenty of time to push this payload. What, 10 feet?
Oh my goodness, I mean, this is looking rough, and I'm not referencing Samuel Pack Elliott's voice here. This is tough stuff. Envy need to bring this one back. Another crossfire in the same damn team fight. Rock Monkey is popping off, shredding everyone to pieces. He set up Envy nicely for the conversion, but the wall from Hero might be enough for them to stand.
Well, they're looking for some shots. Unfortunately, Mr. Hayes not going to be able to throw his damage in there anymore. Hero goes down. Mr. Hayes is still dancing with him, and so is Rubu the Ash, just trying to knock him away, doing whatever he can. Overtime's going to disappear fast at this point. And the Renegades I want to say just barely hold on. They get a pretty solid couple of kills afterward, but that wall doesn't come through.
That's
they
a deep
do
breath.
not defend.
Oh, yeah, let it out. Let it out, Viral. That was a close one for sure. Everybody kind of having to use a couple of different things. There's not a lot of ultimates available going into this next point fight. But given that Envy have won the... Well, to be honest, I can't confidently say that Envy did win the point fight when there was ultimates involved, because the Renegades never threw them at him. They never swung.
They were killed. That's part of the reason that your truck came up. I forgot what the name of it was.
2019 Motor Trend's Truck of the Year Dodge Ram.
Yeah, that one. It came through because the Renegades just died so fast. It was the 0 to 60. It was that moment where it was just all of a sudden they are gone. Also, I'm going to throw it out there just while we have a second. I never understood the reason to need a car that can go 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. It's like, why? Like, I'm not going to go that fast on any road where I'm going from 0. Like, I'm not going to start at 0 on the highway.
Yeah, well, got to go fast, brother. That's the way of the road. Exile comes out. Tolkien Find Shadow before it really matters and just backpedaling out. Again, Exile was the only ultimate that the Renegades had to work with, and it didn't work, as Torvald wouldn't say. And now we've got some ultimates for Team Envy starting to come up. A Whirlwind is available. This feels like a very round 1 point fight here, because these ultimates are very, very close to coming up, and whoever gets them and uses them effectively first is going to win.
Dread Serpent looking like it's going to be the first one of the bunch to come through that could make a big potential difference. It's actually going to be the Dragon Punch. It's charged up, and Hero, I'm sorry, but your health bar is already looking like it's gone. But no, he changes, gets rid of Shadow, and now he's looking for Viral.
Oh, nice target swap there from Invocal. Here's the Whirlwind trying to fuel Hero through this fight. Cauterize is online, though. You could see 4 members of Team Envy bought it early. For this reason, Grover cannot heal through late game Cauterize. He just doesn't have the throughput in Vocal, making a nice rotation. Swinging around, another huge stun from Mr. Hayes. He may have just saved his own life and the life of his frontliner for a little while longer. And Vocal very deep on the side of Team Envy, chunking, hawing his way through, but it's Rubu in the true fashion of the 2019 Motor Trend, chuck in the air, dodge ram, shoulder bashes for the kill on Invocal, and I loved every second of it.
And Barrett comes back in, unfortunately not able to live. Assert Dominance was up, but Rubu was just not in a good spot to try and use it, didn't have the reaction time, and didn't have a good place to be able to pop that. And Renegades, even though it's been defense, 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 now they finally can capture a point, and if they can push this, they can win themselves a map and at least push us to a 5-game set.
What was the turnaround moment there? What was the thing that Renegades did so right that finally got them the leg up?
It was that target swap, right? If Random Noob goes back there and isn't burned down, then he's able to get 1 kill,
all over,
gets rid
brother.
of Viral, no healing comes through, no Whirlwind comes through, and everyone just keeps on dying. The fact that he swapped, but Invocal flicked around to shoot that Drogos made just such a huge impact.
That was awesome to see. I like the play from Random Noob, but the counter from Invocal was even better. Great stuff there from the Renegades to keep themselves alive and go on an offense here for the first time in a while. They didn't get one on Bright Marsh. Had to get something going on Ice Mines, but at the moment, Team Envy are holding this defense very stoutly.
It's going to be a couple of shots. Not going to have the rocket to follow up that spit, but honestly, I don't know if he needs it that much. And Vocal goes down after that kill comes through. A Whirlwind is used at this point just to try and top everyone off so they don't lose ground on the side of the Renegades. But that's the thing that Tyra is going to bring, and it's this. These marks, you're just going to melt through people. You don't even need the crossfire, but it sure does help.
Oh my goodness gracious. Marked up, crossfired, ready to go. Infinite ammo and attack speed is one hell of a stimulant to give to Tyra, and she definitely knows how to use it. Falling back now in Vocal. Very quick at this stage of the game. Vivian likes to run that move speed in her loadouts. But all the move speed in the world won't help you if you're trapped inside of your spawn.
Coming through.
Envy are on the defense here,
essentially, yeah, the full press defense.
Remember that week we had where we just had to like continuously remind everyone, okay, we know we're here, but these guys are on defense, these guys are on offense.
They're just trying to hold.
It was a lot.
And I mean, it's moments like this. It's these little times where it's just like, anytime you take a snippet from this fight, it looks like Envy are trying to aggress and break the initial point. That payload is still sitting at the very beginning of where it spawned, but it's not for Envy. It is for Renegades. And they look like they might be able to get there. I mean, they're getting some kills here. Shadow's going to be able to run through, so finally they'll touch down. But let's say a full push in 10 seconds in overtime. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Well,
I'm not sure today's going to be the day.
Are the Renegades up to the task? Can they do it all? 0 to 100% push on Ice Mines in overtime against the World Championship. If you are a betting man, I think I know where your chips might lie on this one. Poked out early. Pushing these corners is very, very difficult against Drogos. There's so much AoE spread pressure. The wall goes up. The Fire Spit does damage to 3 members in the backline. Random Noob. He hits another one here. He is just cleaving down the Renegades with each swing of his rocket launcher. I mean, that was beautiful, beautiful Drogos play, and something that you really just kind of miss about this character not being picked up as much. Is those multi-man Fire Spits 2 times in a row? I mean, come on.
And I mean, when they went from weeks of not being played or not being impactful for him and Bomb King to all of a sudden being some of the biggest champions we've seen this week.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, I think that's just the ebb and flow of the meta. I think it's part of the reason, like, Maeve came to be really big. And when Maeve is really big, a lot of the time it is your flex player who's usually on these blasters that is picking up the Maeve. And so you had to give these guys up. And if you pick them against a Maeve, well, usually it does go downhill. depending on who the Mave is. But now you finally get to see both of them back in action. Both of them on a really solid map. And the thing that's impressive is this is not like a Worm Jets Drogoz map. This is all combustible, and Random Noob still making it look good.
Well, here comes the King Bomb through the Temporal Divide. You need to get that movement speed before you turn into the bomb and start rolling, though, or else you won't get the turbo speed King Bomb effect. Dragon Punch comes through. Random Noob will not survive. That's the proper counterplay to Dragon Punch. 1-for-1 exchange. Still a lot of ultimates left for Team Envy here. The Crossfire and the Dread Serpent have been big for them in the past. Exile comes out to try and bring it back in favor of Detroit, but so far, no good.
The big thing was it's Inara for Drogoz. No one else on Envy dies. No one else on Renegades dies, but Envy can still keep a Rubu and a Tolki sitting on the point. They have both of their front lines available for them. And even though they move back a little bit here, they've gained that 48%, and they're kind of playing around. A lot of ults used by the Renegades that didn't come to fruition, didn't make a big difference. And so Envy are in the driver's seat.
Playing with it. Everyone here falling lower and lower. Somebody's going to die in the next 10 seconds. Resilience will bail out Tolki for the time being. Ultimates need to be popped here for Team Envy. I'd love to see the Dread Serpent and Crossfire engagement. They need to put their foot down soon and end this fight.
Well, they're trying to wait patiently, try to find out the good moment for it. Sir Dominus is not charged up, and there's going to be the Dread Serpent going long and does find the Bomb King. Shadow gets erased by Random Noob, and that's going to make this a 4v5.
Beautiful stuff there from Mr. Hayes
shots.
and Random Noob. You can just tell the communication is there. Fire Spit to the top rope will connect on the Viral as well. And Vocal doing what he does, 19-6 on the Vivian, but it is just too heavy of a game for young Jaden Smith to shoulder on his own. Team Envy will win 3 straight and put Renegades on set point.
It goes the 4-3, but it feels like Envy's in control for a majority of that game. There were a couple moments where you could see Renegades playing the Ice Mines, the reason they were first picking it a lot in the very beginning, right? They had some control, some semblance of a good draft, but they just couldn't keep up, and I think is the best way to word it. Like, they had a good draft, it was just Envy playing 3 steps ahead.
Envy, I think, with that moment there, the long-range Dread Serpent, that's the type of engagement you needed to see. A lot of people have resilience at that stage, so I get it. It's scary to use a crowd control ultimate like that, but just that small little window, even if it's half a second, was enough for Team Envy. They take this game here on Ice Mines. Let's get it back up to the desk.
It looked like there was a moment, one single moment. I think that moment's passed, unfortunately. Envy up on top here, 3-0, looking clean.
No,
Actually, I'm going to take that back. They are not looking clean. That last match was a little bit rough.
There were definitely rough moments in there, especially when you consider that Rock Monkey and Random Noob had to combine for 150,000+ damage in order to win that one, when on the opposite side, it was only Invocal above 100K. And this has really been the story for the Renegades up to this point. If we keep looking at their side, 19-7-9 goes Invocal in that game. Shadow had a bit of a rough one, but it's always one or the other, seemingly. Like Invocal will have a huge game, Shadow will have a huge game, but they'll still come up short. It's like they can't get one big cohesive togetherness. This is the threat of combustible Drogoz on this map. You saw that flame spit, you saw how much damage it did, the displacement all across the board. And you know, they just prioritized it. They drafted properly that allowed Random Noob to be in a position where he could make these types of plays, and that's exactly what he did time and time again. He doesn't need the Eevee to do it. He could do it with the Drogoz. He could do it with the Bomb King. And when I said it's going to be 2 more games, I said it with some hesitation because I thought if Renegades are able to turn around Ice Mines, because honestly Ice Mines is one of those maps that are kind of neither here nor there. One of the team can defend 3 times in a row and then win the final point fight. And then that's what it came down to. It came down to one final point. With Envy winning this one, I haven't seen a reverse sweep. I don't know the last time we've seen a reverse sweep. I don't even know if Renegades are going to get a map today. I think there's just too much going against them. I think, although there's only a 3 in the win column, that one puts the nail in the coffin in my eyes.
I really liked this one because this was Envy winning on perhaps their weak point and the meta weak point. We've been discussing, it's very easy to celebrate DPS dealers, and it's very common right now to focus on the aggro tanks. That's where our meta is. but it was our support that did it, in my opinion. Mr. Hayes, 3-3-30. Everybody else was kind of being contested by the Renegades.
Yeah.
The big difference here was the support player. Mr. Hayes came out and did a whole bunch of healing, rarely died, only 3 times fell to the wayside, and I think that was the difference maker, the fact that the healer was able to stay alive.
And that's why I kind of highlighted them going into this matchup, because both of them have been so impactful. Every healer in this league is very good at what they do, but Mr. Hayes and Viral both bring almost an offensive presence as well. And in this case, 3-3-30 or 31 or whatever it was. I mean, as well as doing a little damage on top of that, I mean, being able to stay alive as a healer is so important. Anyone is so important.
Yeah,
but as far as characters that need the most uptime, healers are right up there, because if you're dead, the rest of your team dies. Like, if there is no healing on your side, regardless of how good the rest of your team is, the odds of you staying alive are immediately diminished.
And so because Mr. Hayes is able to stay alive, it's interesting because his team, you still see the 8, the 9, the 10 deaths on his team, on his compatriot slash lines, but those very easily could have been 15s and 18s, and that very easily could have been Renegades maps. So when I see the front lines, I think both the front lines kind of canceled out. Renegades played really, really well and rose to the occasion. Our front line played just the same as Envy's. I think the back line played just the same as Envy's. Difference making here in game number 3. Support for sure. Now, map 4, Jaguar Falls.
Oh, I love it every single time.
Jaguar
Falls. I don't have the same gravitas.
You gotta dig deep. It's a Jaguar.
I was kind of doing a little bit of that with the Bomb King Jazz on Stone Keep last time around. I really digged it, but
oh, did you do it?
Dug it.
You did the Bomb King?
No, I mean when the music was playing, I was doing like a jazz cast.
I thought you were getting me. I thought you were gotten me.
What did you do?
Stream
voice
King.
back? Oh,
Stream King.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting next to.
You're the worst.
I'm sitting next to him.
I thought I was avoiding it. I was like, oh, he's trying to set me up. I'm gonna avoid this, and then you go, oh no, here I am, and I walked right into it. I feel like
I opened the doors and you walked right on through.
I feel like I'm Wile E. Coyote, you just acme'd me down, Mr. Roadrunner. Oh man!
No, that's
slam on the noggin.
I don't know if I can recover from this one.
And Khan's gonna bring it as well across the way. Standard Ash pick
Choose your words
and the Tyra.
carefully, heathen,
And this is
for
what's
they are
fun
your
about
last.
looking at best of 7s when it comes to Paladins, is because you have the metagame of the game itself, you've got the metagame of the individual teams, and then you have the metagame of the set. And Tyra, I think, recently, today and yesterday, has kind of risen. But in this set, particularly because of the damage dealers, Tyra comes at a premium, and the Ash Tyra secondary selection, I think, is as close to you can get as to objectively correct as possible. So I got to applaud that for Envy. Renegades on the other side, thinking about Cassie and Inara.
Actually, almost looking like a mirror image of what we saw. I think it was Bright Marsh game number 2, except flipped around. The other team, I mean, I think some of the picks are flipped, but what we actually saw last time around is literally ban-wise entirely reversed here. So Renegades getting privy kind of to the strategy here. They're like, all right, we're going to ban out Pip, which is actually a really good ban here for Jaguar Falls as well. But leaving open that extra tank for them, because if they didn't, they would be in a little bit of an awkward position. Envy still have the barrack open, which I think is important.
That's that set meta that I was kind of referencing. They saw it last game.
Welcome here.
And I think Tyra being on the board here is interesting, because we've seen Random Noob play Tyra. We've seen Rock Monkey play Tyra, which was last game notably, having a good game. And this is where it becomes confusing if you're on the side of Renegades, because although Shadow has also played Cassie when Invoco was the one playing the Tyra. So it seems like Tyra's kind of that flex where the typical blaster player may be playing Tyra, but in this case, I imagine it'll be Rock Monkey. We'll have to see the last picks, but with them going Cassie on this side, that opens the door for Tyra. Over on the other side, could be Random Noob, could be Rock Monkey. I think the door is still open for maybe a Bomb King. Drogos is still around as well.
We could see a Drogos selected here for Envy.
Yeah, they could. They absolutely could. Tom, you big brain.
What up, demons? It's your boy.
Spirit.
Maldamba.
Right.
On your ashes.
Maldamba here and the Drogos, and I really like this because this is the draft that did really well last game. Drogos and Maldamba, they Maldambinated game number 3. I punched Dave
I'm leaving
right there. Like
and your hand hurts.
I really punched him very hard. Like
you did. It's okay. I shrug it off. I shrug
really
those
hit
off.
you. I apologize.
No, that's all right. Listen, it's all good.
With my words, because I'm so damn clever.
You are. And
Renegades.
you've done it twice. Although that's payback for the Stream King.
No, you know what that's payback for? We all had to listen to you say, there's pros and cons to this game.
That's entirely Gore's fault, though. He mentioned it. I ran with it, to be fair. I took that, tucked it under my arm, and ran into the end zone with it. But Goremeister was the one who planted it in my head. Going back to the Bomb King, going back to the Grover. I don't dislike the Grover in this sense. What's
I like to
interesting,
see them branch out.
I do like seeing them branch out. Interestingly enough, Genos has been low priority.
We'll see if Envy can stand up or if they're going to come up a little short.
Oh, they're branching out. You know, Grover, he does that. He does. Well, he says, grow with me, and we do it.
Grover, or Renegades, going to branch out here?
Nope. It's going to be a 4-0. Envy are going to take it. I think
that's simple.
I think it's still too telegraphing having a Grover on your side when you have the AoE threat of a Drogos with the follow-up of a Tyra and an Assert Dominant. There's just too much from Envy that can happen in such a small zone like Jaguar Falls. Granted, if you're able to win the initial part of the fight, then Grover is great. But if you get exploded before you're even able to
the retake,
you're in trouble.
Match point. Envy trying to find it. We'll see if we can. I'm going to find the casters. Nick and Gore, where are you?
Here we are,
I kind of wish we had been standing off frame.
We should have.
Where are we? You'll never know.
If we were on our game today, we would have ducked out of frame really quickly before we got here. But that's not the way of it all. Shadow flowing freely into what could be a 4-0 if he's not careful. Team Envy is definitely on that sort of warpath today. Jaguar Falls looking like it could be wrapped up. I like the pick of the Drogos so far. Pacheco and Payan have pulled it out. We haven't been graced with random noobs Drogos on Jag quite yet.
Not in a long time. I feel like we haven't gotten anywhere near as many Drogos on
Not
Jag
this phase,
lately.
yeah.
And that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Not really that many people who can track him down, although the range between him, like the skybox isn't going to be so far out that Cassie's going to have trouble hitting him, so I think we're still going to see Invocal have an impact.
Well, 21% early capture lead for Team Envy, and Random Noob is exploiting his advantage of a jetpack. No real threats to him so far. Nara kind of throwing some pellets up into the sky, seeing if she can get something to stick. Team Envy keeping this Grover marked up. Tulky might be first blood. He will be, but not before he grabs 30% on the objective. It's quickly equalized by the Renegades. That was that early lead they needed. Now Envy is splintered, shattered. They are all spread to the 7 wins here. They are not in a good position to fight with each other, but Rock Monkey will find an isolated support and burn him down.
And kind of a showcase, I want to say, of the duality of Grover on this map, and that is that, much like Dave said, if you are given the opportunity, you're going to get blown up, either by Tyra or by Drogos if you're out on the point, kind of in the center of everything. But playing on the side, kind of where you see Bomb King right now, that's where Grover's going to be best, because he does heal through walls. That's something you have to remember. And so he doesn't have to have line of sight on the Inari, doesn't have to have line of sight on any of his carries. He can just hang out in the room and everyone hug the wall and he can get that heal through.
Oh, big game applied. Random Noob has been slain, and Volko has a great angle on this backline. He's got to hit the shot. He will when it matters most. Up into the air, Mr. Hayes has to slither away from his team fight rather than towards it. Now in a tough spot. If he hits the stun, he could get the kill, and Volko will dodge it expertly and grab those kills. Very well played by the Renegades.
Still almost got the fadeaway shot from Mr. Hayes. Like, he's going down. That last little bit of spit was trying to find its way home. And this was honestly, I think,
I would have lost my mind if he won that, dude.
If he gets that, that's a 10 out of 10 support play. Like, whether or not you lose the point doesn't matter anymore. Like, that's your highlight for the rest of the year.
Oh man, especially killing in Vocal too. A guy that's known for having such an incredible KD. Like, even look at that Iceman team, 19-6 I think he was with Vivian, despite the loss. I mean, that is quite literally his reputation of just like somehow this guy manages to put it together even in the losses. To be taken down 1v1 by a support. That's pretty wild stuff here. Here comes the Dragon Punch first of the couple ultimates. Ultimates were not really a factor in that first point fight.
Yeah, it didn't last long enough, honestly, and that's part of the issue. Envy weren't able to move in the way they wanted to. Drogos just didn't hit. A lot of the times they were hiding under cover, they were on the other side of the map, so he wasn't connecting anywhere near as many shots. And then once Invocal hits a certain threshold, like the threshold being somewhere on the map, like a certain position, all of a sudden Random Noob becomes a much easier target. Again, the skybox on this map, you can float up pretty high, but it's not difficult for a Cassie to hit you here versus what we see in some of the other maps where you can, potentially just get out and get away from her.
We'll have to see if they can get out and get away with plenty of ultimates to spare. Renegades are again in the driver's seat. I think they can absolutely set the pace. Here comes the fear. It's going to land on a Moonchopper and then shoulder bashed off the map. What a combination. Beautiful 1-2 punch there from Rubu and Mr. Hayes. Envy playing like a true team as they always do.
And just being able to do that kind of thing. Combos on combos on combos. That's what their team has been learning all year. And so far, that is what they've been able to apply as well. It's going to be 30 seconds left. Still some ults available for both sides. More on the side of Renegades. So if they want a heavy commit, they have the tools to do so. I think a lot of it's going to depend on Hero right here.
Pops his damage reduction, but he's still taking almost 700 per rocket. Rubu not quite off the map, looking a little bit like Diggy Dog staying alive there. That was a close one. But again, Renegades never really able to put it together. They've got a lot of low HP bars here. Hunter's Mark plus Salvo equals a dead Cassie. 2 kills answered back, though. Means we will see an overtime here for the Renegades.
That was one of those moments where Salvo got used like a shotgun. It was not exactly going to be a spatter of damage. It was just going to blast you as fast as possible, and it worked out. Tolkien going to be able to put his name onto 2 right there, and that should be overtime going down. Moonchopper's pretty down, defeated, and off onto the side.
Shield goes up for him, and he won't give that kill over to the side of Team Envy. A little bit of chatter here from the Renegades between rounds 1 and 2. Scoreboard is going to be all evened up 1-1, but the Renegades still do have a decent amount of ultimates left, so they'll be just fine. Some solid play here from Hero. Just like we saw from Tolkien on Bright Marsh, Hero needs to have that type of performance here on Jaguar Falls. This is one of Inara's better maps.
This is not only Inara's better maps, but Bomb King's better maps. Like, Drogo's is good performances here, but you have 2 champions on the side of Renegades that this is one of their best maps, if not their best map, kind of deal. Viral, I would argue, for Grover, this is another one of the maps that is really solid for him. Invocal's Cassie, who's good literally everywhere, and Moonchopper's Khan, who's good literally everywhere. I feel like this one has to be won simply by Envy playing better, and with Rock Monkey dying almost immediately, I just don't know if they are going to.
Yeah, right now that is just not the story. Here comes the overpower, but it's on to Rubu. Rubu has his ultimate. He's not going to die here, not even close. He's going to have an opportunity to counter-engage. Nice fear from Mr. Hayes. The perfect angle for Random Noob, and they are plowing the Renegades back in this fight. Salvo underneath the statues. Good enough damage there. Crossfire. Rock Monkey died early, but he's coming back in with a vengeance. Walled off and largely kept under control. And not a lot of capture for the Renegades. Look at that, only 30%.
I was going to say the biggest match I think could be potentially Invocal versus Rock, but Invocal just cedes the ground. And so does Hero. I think that's the biggest thing. The 33% they grabbed could have been 50, could have been 60 right now if they had been standing there the whole fight. But there's a lot going on the side. King Bomb going to be looking to run through here in a little bit. Where it goes, nobody knows. It's going to try to connect onto Tolkien. It's going to do some damage, but not enough. Shadow loses his life.
Why Tolkien? Tolkien took it on the chin and was just fine to turn that one around. And to be honest, Tolkien wasn't on screen during that first engagement from Team Envy. He might have been there on the point, keeping that lid, keeping that 30% where it was for Team Envy. I definitely want to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's one hell of a point tank. And just with that, 99% and climbing. There was so many low HP targets in the back line, Gormizer. I thought Shadow was going to go there for sure.
That's that awkward moment of you could choose left or right. Right is where all the good targets are. Left is where the only person you can't kill is. And he swerved left instead of turning right. And like those small moments will change a game. And like at that point, based on the way the rest of the Renegades could see, you should know that there's low health targets over there. You should know the squishies are over there. And I think it's just that concept of how fast can I pop my ult versus how fast will I die if I turn over there.
It's like a choose your adventure book.
you
chose wrong.
Left.
Throw this book into the trash.
Turn to page 82. You die.
You died. Light this on fire. Good luck in your next adventure. Tolkien finds the first engagement, or the first kill, I should say, in this adventure. And only 140 left on the clock. Team Envy looking to put themselves up 3-1 here. They've got Dragon Punch They're going to fire it up. They're going to let it rip, see what it'll grab. Nice barricade as well. And somehow he manages to connect that. I was very, very positive he was going to completely disengage. I think the Renegades are a little shell-shocked after that one, too, as the payload rolls right on through.
He just went
Where
through.
was he?
I guess he dropped the
He
wall
must have
to
dropped
step
the
forward.
wall.
Like, there's only one way he gets back in there, because, I mean, Random Noob just does a loop-de-loop. Like, he just goes, up, there's the wall, and I'm back. Like, lands almost exactly where he originally went up at. So Hero had to take steps forward to get there.
It's like pump faking the pump fake, in a way. Random Noob got juked, but then because he got juked, they thought they juked him, but then he's like, nah, you didn't juke me. My ankles are unbreakable. Wow.
I juked your juke into a kill.
There it is. Unjukable, Random Noob.
They're playing
always
chess,
finds a home.
and Random Noob's over here playing 1000D chess. Like, he's got moves on moves on moves on moves.
He's sitting in the brain throne right now. And he lived, too. That's the thing, is Random Noob has gotten away with so many Dragon Punches today and escaped with, like, less than 500 HP. A lot of times, like you've been saying, less than 100 HP. But swatted out of the sky, Khan Overpower is going to put a stop to this pesky little dragon before he becomes a problem.
Unfortunately for the Renegades, even though they get that kill, they keep it at 4v5. That crossfire zones out literally everybody that's going to stand on the point. Anara
that's damage.
is getting about as melted as Anara can get. She's soaking up as much healing as she can, and it is hurting.
Oh my goodness, look at all this crowd control. He can't move. Khan is the big man, and finally to the backline. Shadow misses one, finds the second. Poppy bombs over the support here. Big moment, but Rubu and Mr. Hayes will combine to shut him down. That does not mean Renegades is out of this fight. Hero managed to find yet another one. Seismic Crash has to be it. This has to win the fight for the Renegades.
And the biggest thing was Random Noob on respawn got eliminated there as well. So no Drogos was able to come back and impact anything. They get comeback mechanic. They get those kills. They use damn near everything to get it, but they get themselves a point and stay alive in the set.
Nicely done there. Well, great use of the ultimates as well. The Fear never managed to, maybe it wasn't available, but the Fear is still available, I should say, after that engagement from Team Envy. 2 minutes and 13 on the clock to defend this one. The Renegades are putting up a fight on Ice Mines. They put up a fight here on Jaguar Falls as well, but it does not change the fact that the game will not end no matter the outcome in this round. Team Envy have the chance to just kind of let this one go through. The Renegades have to start talking about how they want to manage their ultimates in this round.
This is actually one of the scenarios, normally I would say, like, in a 2-3, for some teams defending, you almost want it to go through so you can even the playing ground. Like, if the other team's only winning because of comeback mechanic, you can win the 3-3. You can keep control. But the problem I have is that I feel like Envy have been very hit or miss with this point fight. Like, they were able to get the last one, but they missed the first one, and they missed the second one here, or this third one here. So I feel like, honestly, for them, a defense is better just because they get 2 more tries to be able to grab it instead of 1 more, assuming they're able to find defense.
Well, okay. Envy put their foot down. A lot of damage comes out. Dragon Punch, crossfires, all types of things being used and flying around here for Team Envy. I believe they did use that Druid Serpent as well. We'll see once Mr. Hayes respawns, and Hayes popped. They do put their foot down. Whirlwind was expended from the Renegades. 58 on the clock, so some of these quicker charging ultimates will be back up in about a minute. The longer charge ones, like things like Dome Shield, you have to be very careful about when you use them, because even with as much damage as Barrick does, that ultimate still takes a long time to get charged.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Using it for a defense, especially with 40 seconds left, you will absolutely not have it for the next round, even if you do 80,000 damage in a game. Like you said, there it's going to pop, so he is going to try to hold right here. They're looking for the defense with some good bombs from Shadow. Might honestly change that plan.
And he will die mid-flight. So funny, he hits the ground and just collapses into a heap. 20 seconds on the clock here. More kills to be grabbed for Random Noob, and he'd be able to charge his Dragon Punch if he can get some of these frags. One more rocket pushes him to the 96% mark. I'm letting Tolkien definitely get all these hits to try and get that Dome Shield as close to recharged as possible. I don't think there's going to be any overtime, obviously, with the Renegades as far away as they are, but Tolkien does a good job getting back to 42% on the Dome Shield.
Being able to hold on, the biggest thing for me this round is a shift in dynamic from Envy, right? Renegades have showcased that they do not mind taking Envy face-to-face.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they don't mind focusing Random Noob. And so I kind of want to see Random Noob potentially play a different angle. Like, a lot of the time he's been over the catwalk, hovering in the area that we'd see a Pip play, hovering in the area that admittedly is probably one of the best for him. But I kind of want to see him go pretty much like we saw in round 2, where he can go to a side, a Dread Serpent can come through, and he can get 2 rockets on this guy, kill him, 3 rockets on that guy, kill him, and then move to the point.
Last look at the items here, potentially, as Team Envy have the chance to close out this game and this set. Lots of resilience picked up after the way they lost that last team fight. Seismic Crash put the foot down, and Hero managed to win that one essentially all on his own. Here comes the Dragon Punch. Will he survive the counter engage? Up over the wall, thrust, can he stay alive? 50 HP, Random Noob bailed out yet again.
And now they're in a good position. Look at the health bars on Renegades. They get healed up there for a second, but they are getting pushed out almost as hard as they can. Renegades, they're going to be able to come back, going to be able to control at least a little bit. But that's going to be an overpower that does not connect, an overpower that does not find anything,
not
which means
again.
Random Noob is still flying and still shooting.
I just feel like that's the legacy of Moonchopper right now on this con, is missing these clutch overpowers. Tolki takes that King Bomb on the chin. Rubu with the counter engage, trapped in a corner, fears all the crowd control, all the ultimates flying, and Vocal is completely separated from the Renegades. Unless he makes a hero play, this one is not looking great. He takes down Random Noob. He may have just done it. Tolki is isolated, and Vocal has separated the support from the front line of Team Envy. Rubu and Rock continuing to bring it back. Gormizer, this fight is far from over.
I mean, it's going to be a 3v5, but Hero has the health bar of 3 himself, so you're going to have to burn down a few. Shadow just comes out, gets stunned, gets burned, and now it's 60 to 62, 63 to 62 as Envy take back control. Hero still hasn't gone down, but Dragon Punch, it was used at the beginning, and it is recharged, and it's coming right now.
Not again. Moonchopper getting close on the overpower, but I don't know if he's going to be back to this fight. 1, 2, 3 kills for Team Envy. The world champs stay on top of the Renegades in 4 straight in proper Envy fashion.
And doing what I think they needed after yesterday, being able to kind of plant their feet, say, you know what, we are still ahead. Well, Renegades, I will say, make a pretty good showing against a team like Envy. Even though it's not a win, I feel like they're getting closer and closer, although this week definitely was not the same as last week for them. And I think that is kind of the moment. Like, yesterday was like a wake-up call, but it wasn't strong enough. I think today, based on what they saw last week, what they've seen this week, they have to start coming back.
Well, it's a competition at the end of the day, and the Renegades continuing to struggle. Let's get it back up to the desk and wrap up this set.
Hey, you say it's a competition. I'm too new here to be that rude. Envy 4-0 above Renegades.
Yeah.
This one, honestly, you know, I'll take the shade out of my commentary, but really just one-sided, honestly. Envy had some moments where Renegades
nice way to put it.
looked a little bit more threatening. A couple of moments where we saw the 4-2s, the 4-3, but really, this was Envy just going, do you recall what we did last year? We need to find the wins. 4-0 to Envy.
This is Envy shrugging off yesterday.
Yeah.
Because they got slapped around yesterday, quite frankly. So this is them shrugging that off and moving forward, because the opposite of that is that Renegades did not shrug off what happened yesterday. I closed the desk yesterday saying, hey, you know what set just got interesting tomorrow, of course, speaking from yesterday, is Envy Renegades.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. But
No.
it was interesting in the sense that this is now an Envy team that after getting crushed looked again like they did, granted with some speed bumps in some of these games, how they did when they beat NIP. That's an important takeaway.
What I really liked about this set for Team Envy was that somebody stepped up, somebody different stepped up almost every single game. We saw the DPS do their job, but I mentioned the game where Mr. Hayes stood up. Rubu stood up early, I think game number 1. And here, this time around, I think we also saw some support coming out from Envy as well. So the Barrack play, I think, stood up. So you have your 2 damage dealers that are always going to do the work. And then if somebody else from Envy can add to the nonsense, that's what we see. Barrack did just that, and Envy win game 4. They win the whole damn thing.
This last game, it's funny in that you can look at each game individually, and like you said, game 1 might have been guy A, B, C, game 1, 2, 3. This one was very much like individual moments all conglomerated into one big win. Mr. Hayes had some huge stuns in a couple of those fights that allowed the damage then to come in and win the fight that they had set themselves up for. Dread Serpents were good. Random Noob Dragon Punch through the Inara wall or around it or above it or however that happened. That's a an individual moment play that helps that payload move forward. So I think you're very on point in that it was such a team effort this time that it's hard to identify one specific person like this guy won this game. Everyone, I would say, had a helping hand, a little hand in the pot. Everyone did this time around.
Well, we've got 2 of them, not all 5, but 2 of them standing by here for the conversation. It's Rubu and it's Random Noob.
Well, congratulations on your win, guys. A nice 4-0 to end your week. And I'm actually going to ask something that's more playstyle specific. And Rubu, I think you can tell me this, because Moonshopper, in a couple of key moments, has not connected on overpowers that could potentially change a team fight. And I just want to know from your experience, like, is that one of those like more difficult clutch ults to hit?
It's definitely a harder ult to like get value out of. Like Ash ult, you kind of just go in and engage and make space for your team. Con ult, you kind of have to like line it up and make sure you have a good amount of space. You don't get poked out too hard and die for it. So I definitely think it's a lot harder to hit and to guarantee than like something like Ash ult.
Yeah.
I want to talk about 2 other characters, Drogoz and Tyra. Tyra seems to be being picked up by a lot of people nowadays. I mean, we don't have Rock Monkey here, but just kind of the collective envy thoughts on why this character all of a sudden is starting to pop up more and more.
I think it's mostly on like maps where she's really hard to kill. And her mark gets so much value on maps like that where she's just constantly marking 2 people. Just want to say, please nerf it. Like it's really annoying to play against. I think maybe take 1 charge away or something. It might be all right. Or I got some other ideas if you want to hit me up.
Is this specifically because you're just a Drogoz player and you're sick of getting shot out of the air by a pesky hit scan?
It is. Yeah, it's pretty annoying as a damage in general. Like and a hit scan. It's.
Are we starting to see more Drogoz from you and from other Drogoz players of old because of the Leon sort of falling off, do you think?
Yeah, Leon fell off and Andro's kind of fallen off as well. So those were probably his 2 biggest counters. And with those gone, he's also really safe on maps like Ice Mines and Frog where you can just fire spit nonstop. So he's a pretty safe character right now.
Cool. Well, congratulations on the 4-0 victory, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the victory. Enjoy each other. We're going to throw it to a quick break before we get ready for SSG versus VP.
Paladins Premiere brought to you by Evil Mojo, Hi-Res Studios, INAP, Respawn, Steel Series, Alienware, and Skillshot.